Hello, everyone. This is Darcinovia here. And to be honest with you, I never thought there would be a Star Wars comic that would even come close, especially in the Rebellion era, to the quality of the comics that are in the Republic series. I mean, one comic after another in the Republic comics is just, it's like one home run after another. And in this, Empire, I think it's pretty good, to be honest. I mean, I'm quite surprised the amount of good stories there are. And I'm very sad that I've only one more arc to review after this, because after this, no, there will be no more Star Wars Empire for me to review. But and since this is one of the last story arcs in this comic, how does it live up to its predecessor, the Battle of Jabim? Shadows of the Fathers is essentially a sequel, and if you go on some list, on the internet, you're bound to see the Battle of Jabim somewhere as one of the best Star Wars comics ever, and it has it all. Great artwork, great, story. It has, a gritty tone. It actually depicts war in a hellish manner. It's everything that makes a good Star Wars comic, and war isn't depicted, you know, this, well in, in Star Wars media, at least in the comics. It's not that often, especially in a style that's more like realistic, and I appreciate that. That's what I love about, the Battle of Jabim. It was an intense story about a, doomed, campaign that just ended in failure. And in this particular comic, Luke goes to Jabim, and, well, it is revealed in this comic the populace hate Anakin Skywalker because, spoiler alert, if you haven't read, a comic that came out like almost 15 years ago, Anakin abandoned them, and they felt betrayed by, the Republic and Anakin Skywalker, and just mentioning the name Skywalker just incite the wrath of the populace. And Luke, you know, comes face to face with the son of the person that Anakin abandoned. And even though this is, a 5 issue story, I do, feel the character in this comic. He was a well written character. I mean, he was relatable. You could see his conflicts of him not wanting to repeat the mistakes of his father. Same thing with Luke. And the way the comic ended, in my opinion, was brilliant, considering if you go by the original multimedia project in the Star Wars expanded universe, one major story arc that helped shaped Anakin Skywalker and was a huge component to him falling to the dark side was the Battle of Jabim. It's one of the most important stories, in the EU, and it's mentioned on multiple occasions, especially in the Revenge of the Sith novelization. It was a huge, battle that heavily affected Anakin, and Darth Vader sees Jabim in the same way he sees Tatooine. He doesn't want to set foot on it because it brings back memories of one of his biggest failures. And I love it in the end of this comic when Luke is talking, you know, about how much he loves Vader and how proud he is to be his son. I love how this comic shows us, Luke, and it shows Vader, like every time Luke speaks. And this scene I feel like is a beautiful scene because it really does, give more context to Empire Strikes Back, and the art is gorgeous in this comic. I love it. Like the pure imagery with Luke and then Vader. It's like this is a great way to foreshadow the events that are going to happen in Empire Strikes Back. This comic, oh, there's not more I can say. In my opinion, it's the best, Star Wars comic that I've read, in the Rebellion era, and one of the best Star Wars comics I've reviewed on this channel. I highly recommend you read this. If you read the Battle of Jabim and you didn't know that a sequel existed, and you were wondering, how does Luke, you know, does Luke ever go to Jabim? How do the populace react to a son of Vader? Well, that gets answered, and it doesn't disappoint. It's one of my favorite Star Wars comics. It's one of my favorite stories, and I recommend this for anyone to read. And the only requirement I would say is to at least have read the Battle of Jabim comic. It's a good story. I highly recommend it. It's a classic rating for me. May the Force be with you. And next time, I'm going to be reviewing the last arc of this comic series. So, see you guys later. And may the Force be with us all. Have a good day, everyone.